Most Americans are strongly opposed to all of these things, according to polls, but if you knew the answers to these 10 questions, you're likely to be in a very tiny minority. That's because 1, distortions and cover-ups emanating from Trump and magnified by Fox News and other right-wing outlets. 2, a public that's overwhelmed with the blitzkrieg of everything Trump is doing and can't focus on this. This is a massive cash grab at our expense in a very real, material kind of way.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio,
Tumwa, Iowa.
Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Ashley with Status Coup. Just a warning to you guys, I am sick today, so bear with me. There is a building going up next to mine, and if you ever hear these like primordial drilling noises in the background, while they are trying to dig a foundation-sized hole, that is what that noise is, and I swear that whatever they've been kicking up into the air has been making me sick. So again, bear with me, but we will get through this video. So moving on to the news, which is what you all came here for, Trump's assault on anyone who is not a billionaire or soon to be a trillionaire has continued. His big, beautiful bill has now passed through the House and is on to the Senate. And again, it is bad news for anyone who is not a billionaire. So let's take a look at some of the worst things hidden inside this anything but beautiful bill. So let me share my screen with you guys. This is from Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who you might remember seeing recently in a clip of his takedown of Kristi Noem at the oversight hearing on the Department of Homeland Security. So this is his breakdown of some of the more hidden things in the bill. So he says, rightfully, the cuts to Medicaid, over 10 million people will lose their health care, and the tax cuts for the rich have been the story of the disastrous Republican budget bill. But I read the whole thing, and here are some of the hidden rats in there that you need to know about. So on to the hidden rats in the bill. A hidden provision of the bill, wait for it, legalizes gun silencers. What? So now criminals will be able to hide their crimes and police will lose the ability to respond to mass shootings. What the fuck? What possible justifications they could have for this? I could not even begin to guess. Who does this help? Who does this help besides the NRA? So moving on to number 3. The bill bans states from regulating artificial intelligence, a present to the big AI companies that send money to Republicans. So now no state consumer protections against AI stealing our jobs or corrupting our kids. What citizen is asking for that? Cool. We have covered the rise of AI here at Status Coup, and I don't know about you guys, but I've been seeing so many videos surfacing of people having to go through a glitching out AI to get approval for insurance claims, or people being interviewed for an actual job by AI. I don't know. What are we doing here? And MAGA, if you think that this is for you or for the betterment of society, that we get rid of jobs that we don't need humans to do, no. That's not what any of this is about. It's about profit and power. That is it. If the ownership class can AI away all of our jobs and livelihoods, they will. And what then? So number 4. As usual, Republicans are trying to put male politicians in charge of women's bodies. A hidden provision in the bill bans nonprofits who provide family planning and reproductive health care from receiving federal funds. As a woman, I say again, cool. I guess this is part of their plan to incentivize women to have more babies. They're going to cut social services that if you are considering an abortion, you probably rely on, because most people who get an abortion are in their mid to late 20s and already have at least one kid and understand the associated costs and time it takes to raise a child. So goodbye Planned Parenthood and all of the services that they provide beyond family planning, which is critical and keeps working people out of poverty. But they also do things like provide low-cost healthcare for things that happen to deal with reproductive organs. If you, like me, have endometriosis, which is a painful disease in which your uterine tissue grows outside of your uterus that ends up requiring surgery, and your treatment plan in between surgery includes birth control, which it often does, they can help you with that. So again, I can only imagine this is part of the Republicans' plan to increase their legions of good Christians to be used as cannon fodder in their endless wars and sacrificed to any number of their capitalism-induced catastrophes. So number 5. There are provisions making huge cuts to child nutrition programs, 30% cuts to food for kids. Come on. That means Republicans are taking food away from 12.6 million people so billionaires can buy an extra yacht. Right. Again, so those kids are going to force you to have through lack of access to reproductive care. Once you have them, they don't give a shit what happens. In fact, the worse off they are, the better for them. Trump was bragging at the Saudi US investment conference last week that our enlistment numbers are going up because everyone is so overtaken with a sense of pride in our country right now. No, enlistment numbers are going up. Enlistment numbers go up when people feel desperate or when something like 9/11 happens. People are desperate. People are desperate and are seeing their prospects for a good life rapidly vanishing before their eyes. And the Republicans want more of that. They won't sacrifice their kids, but they will sacrifice your kids and their well being so they can, as Chris Murphy said, buy another yacht so they can profit off of the war machine. And here's another rundown on this anything but beautiful bill from Robert Reich. Friends, he writes, the old professor in me thinks the best way to convey to you how utterly awful the so-called one big beautiful bill passed by the House last night actually is, would be to give you this short 10-question exam. 1. Does the House's one big beautiful bill cut Medicare? Answer, yes, by an estimated $500 billion. 2. Because the bill cuts Medicaid, how many Americans are expected to lose Medicaid coverage? At least 8.6 million. 3. Will the tax cut in the bill benefit the rich or the poor or everyone? Overwhelmingly, it is the rich. 4. How much will the top 0.1% of earners stand to gain from it? Nearly $390,000 per year, which I have to say, like, I that is not enough money to justify any of this. That they would do all of this to get an extra $390,000 per year is fucking insane to me, and one of the most callous things that I have ever heard. That's nothing to them. That's nothing, but they will sell your entire life and your kids' lives for that amount of money, which again is meaningless to them. 5. If you figure in the benefit cuts and the tax cuts, will Americans making between about $17,000 and $51,000 gain or lose? They will lose about $700 a year, which is not nothing to anyone who is making between $17,000 and $51,000 a year. That is not nothing. That is a significant amount of money for people and can make the difference between being able to survive an emergency or not survive an emergency. Number 6. How about Americans with incomes less than $17,000 a year? They will lose more than $1,000 per year on average. If you make $17,000 a year, you cannot afford to lose $1,000 per year. If you make $17,000, that means that you will have $16,000 a year, which again is not enough money for anyone to live. Number 7. How much will the bill add to the federal debt? $3.8 trillion over 10 years. They keep telling us that all of these things that they're doing, Doge, all of this other nonsense is in the name of efficiency and saving money. And yet, their big, beautiful bill is going to add $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years. The consequences of that, we will all be dealing with. They will not. Number 8, who will pay for the interest on this extra debt? All of us, in both our tax payments and higher interest rates for mortgages, car loans, and all other long-term borrowing. Number 9, who collects this interest? People who lend to the US government, 70% of whom are American and most of whom are wealthy. Because fucking of course. Number 10, bonus question. Is the $4 million airplane from Qatar a gift to the United States for every future president to use, or a gift to Trump for his own personal use? It is a personal gift because he'll get to use it after he leaves the presidency. Most Americans are strongly opposed to all of these things, according to polls, but if you knew the answers to these 10 questions, you're likely to be in a very tiny minority. That's because 1, distortions and cover-ups emanating from Trump and magnified by Fox News and other right-wing outlets. 2, a public that's overwhelmed with the blitzkrieg of everything Trump is doing and can't focus on this. 3, outright silencing of many in the media who fear retaliation from the Trump regime if they reveal things that Trump doesn't want revealed. I have nothing else to add to that. This is a massive cash grab at our expense in a very real, material kind of way. And I want to share a video of Jim McGovern from Massachusetts after the Republicans held a hearing on the bill at 1 a.m. So The article says Representative Jim McGovern, the ranking Democrat on the House Rules Committee, pulled no punches in the very early hours of Wednesday morning in excoriating his GOP colleagues for holding a hearing on the Trump-backed Big Beautiful Bill at 1 a.m. This is a farce, an outrageous insult to the people of this country to bring up a 1,000-page bill at 1 o'clock in the morning, a bill that's still being written, by the way, by Republicans as we speak, in a back room somewhere, for God's sake. McGovern began asking Republicans what the hell are they so afraid of? And then to try to jam it through Congress in the middle of the night when nobody is watching is just unbelievably cynical. This is why people hate Washington, raged McGovern ahead of offering a blistering takedown of the bill's contents. But let's watch the video of him speaking.
Is that really what you came here to do? I don't understand this. I don't understand the cruelty. And let me say this to every Republican member who votes for this. You own it. You own it. You own every hospital that closes, every child that goes to bed hungry, every senior who loses care, and every American family forced to choose between groceries and rent, between their heating bill and their child care, between their kid's birthday party and their parents' long-term care. So you guys can force us to debate this bill in the dead of night. You can do it while the country sleeps. But the American people will wake up tomorrow morning, and I guarantee you they will wake up to how terrible your agenda is. They will remember this moment. They will remember who stood with the billionaires and who stood with them.
Yeah. They will own it, but they won't give a shit because they're getting what they want, which is tax breaks for them and misery for us. And one more clip before I wrap up here. This was Justin Wolfers on MSNBC.
Nicole, I want to highlight one really important part of the current budget discussion. So you're talking right now about this very important issue, which is how much we spend versus we tax. That's the budget deficit. There's also a Robin Hood aspect. How much do we take from who and what do we give to who? This is the anti-Robin Hood. This is, according to one of my favorite budget wonks, Bobby Kogan. He said this is the largest redistribution from poor to rich in American history. So if you're okay with those at the bottom end of the income distribution getting by with less because you think it's important that those at the very top end get tax cuts and therefore have more resources to get by, that's fine by you. But for those of us with a heart, honestly, it breaks our hearts a little bit.
Well, yeah. Those of us with hearts and empathy are hurting right now because we know what's coming. Struggle and more struggle. Working people, not the billionaires, keep this country running. It is our labor and our care, not the billionaires, that made the U.S. what it once was. It is the billionaires who are the parasites here. So it is up to the Senate now. And in case you thought I was going to get through a whole video without taking a jab at the Democrats, here is this from the New Republic. Republicans pass horrid tax bill thanks to Democrats dying in office. Republicans passed their terrible tax bill by one vote. Guess how many Democrats died in office this year, with a picture of Jerry Connolly, who passed away on Wednesday. House Republicans managed to pass their draconian budget bill, which promises to make massive cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and food assistance early Thursday morning by a narrow one-vote margin that was only possible due to the deaths of 3 Democrats in this current Congress. The last Democrat to pass away was 75-year-old Representative Jerry Connolly of Virginia, who died on Wednesday after battling esophageal cancer. Had any of these 3 Democrats, who are all from safe Democratic districts, taken their health into consideration and decided not to run in 2024, such an egregious bill would have failed to pass. So there you go. Thank you, Democrats, always looking out for working people and making sacrifices for us, the people who have given you a job when it really fucking counts. Thank you guys for watching. I will be back in the next video very soon, so please like, subscribe, and follow to Status Coup News so you don't miss out. And please consider joining us at statuscoup.com/join. Thanks. Bye.